Hello everyone, welcome to MastersTeach, and today we'll discuss about the business research methods. It is part of your MBA. It is short video, so entire 6 months course. I am telling within 20 minutes. If you listen carefully, then that will be helpful to you. Let us start with the lecture. I hope everybody is doing good. Business research, in which we'll discuss introduction, research process, research design, data collection, analyze, and research reports. So this is not only important for MBA, but also it is important for those who are studying for the net set and other examination. If you are newly watching my channel, please do subscribe and share with your friends. Okay, let us start with the topic. Okay, unit 1, introduction to business research. What is business research? It is a systematic process for gathering, analysis, and interpreting information to help the business to make better decision. Okay, so it is a systematic process which is going to gather the information, analyze the information, not only analyzing but also interpreting the information so that the business uh, can make the good decisions. Why business needs research? Research, you are searching again and again. So in order to understand the customers and the market, okay, then solve operation problems, reduce risk in decision, identifying new customers, new opportunities. Okay, so here first you have to identify the problem, then research, information, analyze. So you have to write about the business research. Okay, so for example, the company is noticing that their their sales got reduced and they plan. So that what is the reason for that? They will conduct the research, find the customers, and they know about their competitors, price strategies, and adjustment strategies. So many things will go in the business research. Okay, let us go to the next slide. Scientific investigation in research. Scientific investigation in research. Okay, what is scientific investigation in research? Okay, science gives the research instruction structure, objectivity, and credibility. So the building blocks of scientific research are concepts and constructs. Okay, so the concept may be abstract ideas like motivation, so increasing the brand loyalty, so given the measurable meaning. Then uh, prepositions and hypothesis. So preposition means state relationship, hypotheses are testable statement derived from them. So the definitions and variables. So the definition is a clear definition, makes the concept measurable. Variables are the factors that change. Okay, the price changes, sales changes, and demand also changes. So we'll discuss about the theories and models. So theories explain about the phenomena. Models so simplify the reality to show relationship usually. So the research method make research very reliable. Okay, scientific approach always makes reliable, replicable, and academically valid. Okay, let us go to the next slide. Deduction, induction, and technology ethics. What is the difference between deduction and induction? Deduction means general topic to specific. Okay, induction means specific to general. For example, so in general, in deduction, testing existing theory. All customers want value. This customer wants value. So this is about the deduction. What is induction? It is specific to general. Builds a new theory. So these 50 customers want value. Okay, so most customers do the same. So the technology research. So research can be used with the help of technology. There is the internet, electronic mail, and web browsers, websites, even apps. Okay, they can gather the information, they can collect the database. Okay, online database, access the global research. Okay, we'll see about the ethics in business research. So some ethics need to be followed. What is that ethics? So the participant must be uh, voluntarily participate in that particular thing. So informed about the consent, and you have to save the privacy of the or personal data of the person who is giving the information. Confidentiality. Okay, you also uh, response must not be disclosed. Okay, so whatever the response they gives, so you should not disclose to the others. Okay, then research help the managers make the evidence based decisions, reducing guesswork. So this is about the deduction, induction, technology, and ethics. So we discussed what is induction, what is deduction, uh, what is ethics, and what is technology in research. That is the thing. Let us go to the next slide. Okay, here problems in identification and preliminary data gathering. So broad problem in research. Research began by identifying general area of concern in the business, not at the specific question. So preliminary data need to be collected. Okay, so in order to collect the data, you have to talk to the managers, employees, observe the work environment, review the existing company records. Okay, so before starting the research, you need to find out the problem identification is necessary. So in order to find the problems, you have to speak with the managers, employees, and you have to observe the work environment, and you have to also review, means you have to study the past records. So here the simple way: broad problem area, preliminary data gathered, and specific research problem. So narrowing the problem, so early saves time and resource throughout the study. This is the problem identification and preliminary data gathering. Let us go to the next slide. Literature survey problem definitions. What is literature survey? So in it is like literature survey means a review of existing studies, books, and articles to relate to the research topic. Why we use the literature? Okay, means in order to avoid the past repeated mistakes. Okay, it provides the theoretical base. So the source for the literature survey or literature review, so Google Scholars, you can use JSTOR or company records. So the problem identification, so convert the vague concern into the clear and specific research questions. Broad problem, so and define research problem. So broad problem is sales are falling. So what is the specific problem? Why did online sales drop 20% in quarter 3 among customers aged between 18 to 30? So the problem identification may be broad problem, but you have to define the specific problem. That means you have to specify age group and time, etc. So if you know the problem very well, then your research, half of the research is get solved. This is about the literature survey or literature review and problem definitions. Okay, when you write the exam, try to write these things, that will be helpful to you. Let us go to the next slide. theoretical framework and hypothesis development. What is the theoretical framework? A structured diagram showing relationship between variables that the research plan to study. So identifying the independent and dependent variable, show the direction of relationship, and guide the entire research design. For example, employee training and employee performance. So what is the hypothesis development? It is a testable statement predicting the relationship between the variable. For example, uh, example for the hypothesis, employees who receive more training show higher performance score. So the testing score will be collect the data, analyze the data, accept or reject the hypothesis. So hypothesis is that it is a testable statement or predicting the relationship between the two or more variables. So let us go to the next slide. Okay, research design. How the research can be designed. Okay, that we'll see here. See the research types here. This is a design type, this is a purpose, this is a simple example. Research design is a blueprint that guides how a study is conducted, what data to collect, from whom and how. So this is the thing. So the design types: explanatory, the exploratory, descriptive, experimental, case study. These are the types of designs of research. Exploratory, what happens? The purpose is explore the unclear problem. So example, why customers unhappy? Descriptive, it is a describe a situation or a group. So profile of a online shoppers aged between 2 to 35 years. Experimental means it is a type of research design, test cause and effect. So does the discount increase the purchase or not? So you are testing, that is called as experimental. Case study means deep study of one unit, whether particular unit doing well or not. Okay, for example, how did Zomato handle the 2020 crisis? Okay, so because that corona time, how it is handled, there's a case study. Okay, so what we learn here, you have to choose the design, okay, based on what you know and what you need to find out. So these are the uh, research design: exploratory, descriptive, experimental, case studies. We'll go to the next slide. Exploratory, descriptive, experimental, design. It is a good slide. Go through this one. If you want to have, you can take the screenshot, try to take the notes, that will be good. Exploratory research. So used when the problem is not clearly understand, so helps to generate ideas and insights. For example, focus groups to understand why new product is failed. Then descriptive research. So it describes about the characteristics of people, markets, situations accurately. For example, survey of 500 customers to describe buying habits. What is experimental research? It is studies cause and effect by manipulating one variable and observing the result. For example, test whether a new ad increase website clicks or not. This is about the exploratory, descriptive and experimental research. Let us go to the next slide. Case study and measurement of variable. So what is case study? It is a deep investigation of single organization or event or individual. So which provides rich and detailed insight. Through case study we'll get the useful and when context matters, Example, studying how Flipkart managed its big billion day sale. This is about the case study. Measurement of variables. So variable type and example. Dependent variable. So for example, advertising spending. Independent variable. How much advertising spend done? Dependent variable. So sales revenue. That means if the advertise spent more, whether sales increased or not. So here advertising is a independent variable, whereas dependent variable is a sales revenue. So operational definitions here clearly state that how variable will measure. For example, employee performance equal to score on monthly KPI review 1 to 10 scale. This is about the case study and measurement of variables. Okay, we'll go to the next slide. Scales, rating, rankings, reliability, and validity. So many times it is asked in net set exams as well as in MBA exams. Measurement scales, nominal. So categories like only male, female, ordinal, ranked order, first, second, third preference. Okay, rating versus ranking. Rating means the rating satisfaction 1 to 5. So each time rated independently. Whereas ranking scale. So here that means rank brands 1 to 5. So like items compared to each other. What is reliability versus validity? Reliability means consistency of results. Validity means accuracy of measurement. So every time the result comes, it is the same. So result is the same time, anytime. Then validity, measure what it should be measured. Okay, types of validity, content validity, cover all the aspects of content. Then criterion related, it predict a related outcome. So construct validity measures the theoretical construct correctly. This is about the sales, rating, ranking, reliability, and validity. Okay, try to remember the same. Okay, they may ask, write about the scales, rating, ranking, reliability, and validity. Let us go to the next slide. It is a unit 4, scores, source of data. So the data is two types, primary data and secondary data. Primary data, it is collected by the researcher himself from the current study, for the current study. For example, surveys, interviews, observation, and it is a fresh and specific to the problem. It is a time consuming and costly primary data. Whereas secondary data is that data already collected by someone else for another purpose. For example, government reports, company records, journals, and quick, and it is very quick and inexpensive. It is not expensive, so maybe outdated or not perfectly relevant. So you should understand this thing between the primary data and secondary data. So aspects, the primary data is high, whereas second data is a low. For the primary aspect, the time is more, whereas secondary data is less. Relevance, it is very high because it's the contemporary, whereas secondary data is may vary. So this is the thing. Source of data, primary data and secondary data. I hope you understand the same. Let us go to the next slide. Data collection methods. So how the data is collected? Interviews, observational surveys, questionnaires. Interviews, so research goes to the people and ask the question directly. Can be it can be structured, that means they have fixed questions, whereas unstructured, they have the open ended questions. Okay, observation surveys, so research watches and record, so observe without asking questions. Example, observing the shoppers in a store, simply they observe. So interviews means here the mic is there, they ask the questions, that can be structured specific questions or maybe unstructured open questions. Observational surveys, so simply they go to the place and watches and record behavior without asking any questions. Example, observing the shoppers in a store. Then questionnaire method. Okay, a written set of questions given to the respondent. Okay, cost effective for large samples. So the method is that interview, which gives for the deep insight, and it is a little time consuming. Observation, it is for the behavioral study purpose. It, the observer may be bias, means sometimes favorable, sometimes unfavorable. Questionnaire, it's good for the large groups, whereas limitation is that low response rate. Okay, let us go to the next slide. Face to face and telephonic interview. So face to face interview means the advantage is that they'll get the rapport, they observe the body language of the response, the people, then clarify the doubts. The limitation of the face to face interview, it is expensive, people has to travel, so it is a time consuming, and geographical constraint, you need to have visa, you need to have permissions, okay, etc. Whereas telephonic interview, it is quick and low cost, wide geographical reach. Limitation is that it cannot be observed non-verbal things, so it is a shorter response. Example, bank calling the customers to assess the service reality. So these are the features and the structure interview, unstructured features. Questions is a fixed and preset, and unstructured is open and flexible. The depth, the structured is a very limited, whereas unstructured you can ask many things, there is high. The comparability, easy to compare, whereas it is very difficult. So face to face, telephonic thing, and interviews like structured, unstructured. So I hope you understand the same. Let us go to the next slide. Questionnaire and constructions. Types of questionnaires. Structure means two types of questionnaires. One is structured, unstructured. Structure means fixed questions with a set of options. Okay, for example, are you, so do you like this product, yes or no, like that structure. Unstructured means open ended, so they may give opinions, it's the time consuming, they're free to give the response. So structured, unstructured. So like good question versus poor question. Good question means how satisfied are you are with the delivery speed, 1 to 5 we had a poor response, don't think your delivery is fast and good. So guidelines for construction, use a simple and clear language, avoid leading or double barrel question, keep questions relevant to the research problem, don't go to the personal things, average questions in a logical order, arrange the questions in logical order, provide the suitable response options. This is about the questionnaires construction. Okay, so types of questionnaires, structured, unstructured, then guidelines for the construction. It should be simple, clear, no double meaning, avoid leading or double barrel question, keep questions relevant to the research problem, arrange questions in logical order, so provide the suitable response options. Okay, we'll go to the next slide here. Um, Data analysis and statistical measures. Data analysis converts the raw data into meaningful finds that answers the research questions. So descriptive statistics means summarize the data using mean, median, mode, percentage, tables, charts, etc. They're the descriptive strategies. Example, average customers rating 4.2 out of 5. Associational statistics, it's studies relationship between variables. Example, does higher advertising spend lead to higher sales? Then inferential statistics, so uses as sample data to draw conclusion about the larger population. Example, survey of 200 customers, so the conclusion about all 10,000 customers. So choose the right statistical tool based on your research questions and data type. Okay, we'll go to the next slide. Uh, the research report. So many people has their PhD or dissertation. Okay, or you already done your project in the college. So what is the component of research report? One is a title, table content, executive summary, introduction section, then body of report, final part, there is conclusion, recommendation, acknowledgement, and reference, appendix, etc. Okay, the title page, okay, report, identity, and author details. Executive summary, it says about the concise findings and recommendation. Introduction, it has a objective, scope, etc. Whereas body, which says about the methodology, analysis, etc. So each section serve the distinctive purpose. So together tell the complete research theory. So starting with the components of research, like title to the acknowledgement or appendix. So it gives the complete picture of the research. Then we'll go to the next slide. So yeah, I hope you're able to see. So this is about the research, the guidelines for good research report and oral presentation. So what is the guidelines for to prepare a good research report? So write report checklist, clear the title should be clear and logical organization. It should have the simple language, no unnecessary jargons, double meaning used. So the data should be accurate and proper table, neatly arranged charts, clear findings and conclusion, recommendation. So correct reference, avoid irrelevant information. So the oral presentation, when you are giving the presentation about your research, decide content. So means focus on the key findings only, do not read the full report. Okay, you have to use visual aids like charts, diagrams, and slides. So make data uh, clear. Presentation, so speak clearly, maintain the eye contact, don't see here and there, manage time very well, handle the question. So end of the research presentation, people may ask, so before attending their uh, questions, you should listen carefully, answer confidently, admit uncertainty or honestiness. So this is about the thing. Okay, then what we learn here, we learned about the like uh, here the same thing. Okay, what we already discussed. So this is the thing, go through this particular chapter again and again. Business research method, concentration process, concentration design, concentration data collection, how to analyze, what is the dissertation reports, and etc. Okay, i hope uh, you I hope you understand this particular class very well. If you have any doubt, you can write in the same. Okay, and do subscribe MastersTeach. Okay, it will helpful for your management, legal, educational, English, net, set, seated, and many things. Thank you for watching. All the best for your coming examination. I'm stopping here. We'll meet tomorrow.